Hello everyone. Recently, the finals of the official Smogon Tournament were played between oldspicemike and Fusien. And I think that these will be interesting games to cover because they are emblematic of some meta trends that we have seen in the past and I presume coming months. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'll take a brief second to introduce the matchup on preview. oldspicemike is playing Sun. He's playing Ninetales rather than Torkoal, meaning that the team is probably hazardless. It's a special attack booster Wake because the Venusaur is there for speed control. On preview, it's hard to tell if the Roaring Moon is Scarf or Band or something along those lines, but it could be revealed later. Venusaur could be any of its variants. I mean, probably it's just the standard Life Orb growth. There are some Venusaur that actually run a physical move, like they run Earthquake, because that way you could take advantage of Slowking Galar, which presents a problem for Sun, but those are pretty uncommon because they're not that good into everything else. You can see there's an unconventional Corviknight. I've actually tried Corviknight on Sun before. I don't claim to be, first of all, I do not claim to be a better player than oldspicemike, not even close. I don't really like Corviknight here though. It's like, I'm pretty sure the idea is like slower pace removal and you can pivot off the back of Ninetales a little bit. I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. Fusien is playing removal heavy stall, which has been rising in popularity recently. And the reason why it's really nice is the Dozo and the Bliss are free to run leftovers, which makes them significantly harder to get through. Against a heavy duty boots Bliss, a Terra Water special attack booster Choice Specs Walking Wake will actually 2-hit KO with a relatively good chance. But with leftovers, that's not possible, just as an example. The Wheezing Galar is standard Fog, obviously. This is a staple on these kinds of removal heavy comps because, of course, you have to remove against Golden Go. And neutralizing gas gives you a lot of really useful tools against opposing stalls and hazard stacks. It's a great resource into opposing Gliscor or Clefable especially. These builds will often run Assault Vest Pex. It's kind of the same idea as Aloe, where it can scout moves but more so on the special side and make a surprisingly large amount of progress because, you know, like Water Poison, you know, don't sleep on that. Don't sleep on that. And it's got nice moves like Infestation to kind of disrupt the opponent. Iron Treads, probably just standard removal. Some of them run Prot, but this one's probably Rock, Spin, Earthquake, Knock. It might be Prot over the Rocks and Rocks on Blissey, but you know, we'll have to see. I don't think that will matter too much. If it's Rocks Bliss, it's not going to be as good into it's not going to be as good into Corviknight. Game plan for both sides. oldspicemike is trying to probably get through the Bliss with his special offense. He can burn a lot of soft boileds with his Walking Wake and his Venusaur. But the crucial part of it is that he needs to catch Blissey on the switch, because if Blissey and Walking Wake land on the field at the same time, or Blissey and Venusaur, assuming that Venusaur is the special attacking variant or a fully special attacking variant, they will actually lose, right? They can't get through the Bliss outright. So what oldspicemike needs to do is use his pivots and his physical attackers and double back and forth to get switches and burn the Bliss. Should be noted, oldspicemike also has a Healing Wish to play with on Ninetales. Fusien is trying to get up rocks and then throw off as much chip damage as possible to kind of run the timer down, because he's trying to, like we said, that oldspicemike is trying to double back and forth and force Blissey to switch, but the more chip is accrued on oldspicemike's Pokemon, you know, the less possible that is, right? So to those ends, I think what he can do is Burnfish with a Lomomola. He can rock up on Corviknight probably with Treads, but it's unclear how Treads will ever get in. Blissey can throw off tosses. That actually looks like a really powerful way to make progress, assuming that stealth rocks are up and the Corv is not like helmet or something. Pex can do a lot of damage too here, but it's a matter of staying healthy, because if it gets chipped, then suddenly Walking Wake is forcing switches into Blissey. So without further ado, let's get into the game. So as we see here, oldspicemike bringing in Great Tusk, trying to force Blissey out, and I imagine he's going to make some kind of play off the back of this turn. Okay, gets chip into a Lomomola. Oh, what the hell? That is bulky as fuck. Alright, yeah, so he uses this chance to bring in the Walking Wake, and right away he's going to hit Blissey. I'm actually not sure why he didn't. Okay, so oldspicemike is trying to catch the Toxapex switch to get it burnt, or sorry, like burn a lot of HP on it, and that way on subsequent Walking Wake switches he can Hydro Steam instead. This time he goes into Venusaur and growths up, okay, and Toxapex will Ice Beam, doing good damage. So yeah, now Toxapex is has been weakened considerably, so the next time Walking Wake comes in, it'll be harder for Fusien to kind of preserve soft boils. Same deal with Blissey, actually, it's getting pretty chipped. I imagine he's going to soft boil this turn, and Ninetales comes back in. Alright, Roaring Moon comes in, and Blissey will get off a toss. So we'll probably get to see the Roaring Moon item revealed. Nope. Okay, so this is one of those doubles that I was talking about, where Roaring Moon will force a switch into the physical walls, and Walking Wake will take advantage. And as we see here, the previous chip from Venusaur is really important, because that means Toxapex is a 2-hit KO. And now oldspicemike is burning soft boiled on Blissey. So this is pretty calm. Okay, so we're already through 2 soft boileds. So oldspicemike making good progress here. Goes back into Moon. I'm a little confused by that. Yeah, because Toxapex still can't switch in. Yeah, I think it's probably because he wants to keep positioning up, because Sun just went down more or less. I don't know. I think, yeah, because if after the Sun goes down, you can't force the soft boileds and the Hydro Steam, and you know that the Bliss has to soft boil that turn anyway, so you're not getting any more ground. Okay, so oldspicemike gets Sun back up. So Fusien right now, he's trying to stop this, he's trying to stop all these doubles from getting going by like throwing in scouts with Alomomola or Toxapex and so forth to kind of like catch the doubles out, like stop oldspicemike's Vise for positioning. And he actually goes into Wheezing. I think the idea is to, because oldspicemike suspects that Fusien will go into Toxapex or, well, probably just Toxapex to scout the Terra Water Hydro Steam. So the threat of going into Roaring Moon presented itself. And so Fusien doubled to Wheezing Galar to try to catch it. Sadly, it didn't work out, but I mean, I think Wheezing Galar is not going to do too much here anyway, because again, it's a hazardless Sun team. Okay, so more of the same dance here. And of course, oldspicemike has to stop Fusien from getting up rocks at any cost, because then he will very rapidly run out of turns to convert his advantages. So Roaring Moon comes in, Alomomola comes in. Yeah, this is tough. So it's for 51. Alomomola. Oh, it's a Dragon Dance. Oh, it's Dragon Dance Life Orb. Who knew? That's pretty surprising to me. I think he thought that the Alomomola was going to protect and just keep stalling Sun. Either way, the Walking Wake comes back in, but the Pex is too healthy. So it'll be able to get some chip into Walking Wake here, but oldspicemike is probably assuming, okay, I'm gonna Healing Wish up later, so and hopefully I can break the special core on the last stretch of the game. Oh, Fusien with a really good play here, coming into Toxapex, and this way he gets one more regen turn, makes it just a little bit harder for the Walking Wake to immediately damage Blissey. Okay, the Venusaur growths. And Fusien pops his Terra, which doesn't matter too much in the grand scheme of things, in order to dispatch this Venusaur. Now it's just the Walking Wake that has to slam open the Blissey and so forth. And he goes into Pex, and forces the switch because oldspicemike absolutely cannot let that guy die. Brave Bird comes out. Ice Beam. Toxapex is going to get back up to full HP here, so it's going to be really difficult for oldspicemike to win now, because as we saw before, Venusaur was kind of one of the guys that would help open the way for Walking Wake, but Venusaur is gone and Walking Wake is very low. At this point, it's probably over, regardless of what happens after this Ninetales pops Healing Wish. There's just not enough tools left for oldspicemike to break open the Blissey and the Pex, and everyone else is really low. Yeah, Tusk and Roaring Moon will definitely lose to Alomomola and Dozo, and the Corviknight is already burnt, so there's no chance it can outstall. So that's game one, and I think that it's a really interesting display of how strong these removal heavy stall compositions can be in the current meta. And because normally Terra Water special attack choice specs Walking Wake is an unbelievably powerful tool against stall, and it blows open pretty much all the boot spams or the just light removal compositions you could think of. But these stall compositions have these interesting tools to kind of mitigate the threat and slow down these, or make it really hard to outplay these compositions. And because all of the Pokemon, most of them are very active, right? Some of them, okay, because most of the time what you have on the field is your Toxapex or your Alomomola or your Weezing. You only get forced into the Dozo or the Blissey when you're facing a very powerful setup threat, for the most part. And so those Pokemon actually do a surprisingly large amount of damage considering their stall mons. And so it's actually quite difficult for the opponent to get going, because those Pokemon are not passive. Alomomola, if you're swapping in a mon willy-nilly on it, it can burn you, right? And it can flip turn out. Toxapex can do the same thing. It can poison you with Sludge Bomb, can do good damage with Ice Beam, as we saw. You know, that the timer actually got run down on Venusaur pretty hard. And Weezing, well, I mean, hey, it burnt the Corviknight, right? So lots of ways that this team can kind of deflect aggression. And I think that removal heavy stalls like this will probably become standard for stalls, at least for a while. And now, as we can see, you know, the walking wake, it cannot beat Blissey in the one-on-one. And the soft boileds actually, you know, it came close. You know, the soft boileds went down to 2 at the end there. But, you know, overall, Fusien did a great job of, you know, keeping his positioning, using Pex to sponge aggro. Oh, even a crit! Wow, that must have been that must have scared the shit out of Fusien. That must have been funny. Holy shit! I would actually crash out if that happened to me and I lost. I would actually lose my. Yeah. Anyway, but either way, you know, we still got it. We still got it. You know, Diallo's there to pick up the slack, and yeah, good win from Fusien. Alright, so moving on to game 2, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on preview to introduce the matchup. oldspicemike, he's playing Hatterene offense, and these teams are normally pretty easy to guess sets for because they index a lot into hazard deterrence. So probably the Lando is taunt, U-turn, earth, power, rocks. Hat is probably just you know, AV, nuzzle, cloak, something like that. You know, stop the Glamora from spinning on it. Something adjacent. It's, you know, it's not that deep. It's just meant to block hazards. Darkrai probably Lefty's plot or Life Orb plot. Zamazenta probably Iron Defense Body Press leftovers because wouldn't be Chesto. It doesn't need to rest off status. Probably not All Out Attacker. It doesn't need the boots. Banded doesn't have enough switch-ins on this team, so yeah. Dragonite, probably Band or some Dragon Dance variant that's unaffected by like Contact Punish. By that I mean like Terra Blast sets. You know the Terra Blast Flying, Terra Blast Fairy, and so forth. I would guess that it's Band though because you need something physical to break for the Iron Defense Body Press Zamazenta, if I'm correct about that. Gold, probably just Scarf. Everything else on this team underspeeds Dragapult, so you know you got to solve that issue somehow. It might be like defensive gold, like Bolt or Scarf Landorus, but that I don't think that makes the most sense because you know you need some hazards. Landorus is pretty obvious for that slot. Fusien is playing Deoxys Speed Hyper Offense, so these teams, they use Deoxys Speed as a hazard lead, you know, probably just rocks, spikes, taunt, maybe red card, ice beam, something along those lines. It's got a Dragonite, never know what kind of set a Dragonite is. Darkrai, it's probably going to try to open up the Speed Iron Moth, you know, probably just, you know, Life Orb, 4 attacks, something simple. Speed Iron Moth, probably. If I had to guess, it's SD Scissor, because that way you can try to punch through some physical walls for Dragonite. And the Tusk set, I honestly have no clue. Might be something like Temper Flare to open up the Dragonite against Corviknight or something, but you know, it's hard to say. Anyway, oldspicemike, he's looking at his Zama, he's looking at his Darkrai. Those two look very strong as win conditions if he can force the Iron Moth to burn his booster speed. Fusien is probably looking at his Dragonite or Moth primarily to win or achieve critical damage, because from a, like, if you look at everything else, you can't really win with it because it's just gonna get revenge killed. Alright, so the game begins. Darkrai on Fusien's end is... okay, see, he beams. It's Life Orb, and I think that is AV Hat. I'm not entirely sure because I'm not going to run the calcs, but if you want to check, that's I think that it probably is. Okay, so it just gets chip into Hatterene. I think that's to make the Deoxys more able to set hazards. Oh, I think that I think the scissor might be choice banned because it's U-turn. And it did a lot to that Landorus. That's really, I don't really understand that. I'm not, I mean, I guess you're still supporting against the physical walls because you can go back and forth between your like physical and special offense, but I don't know. I don't know if I get it that much. Oh, the Landorus manages to take a huge chunk out of Deoxys, so I don't know if it can trade really well into the hat anymore. Okay, so U-turn goes out, Landorus dies, so definitely no hazards from Old Spice Mike's side. Deoxys, yeah, it's too low. It got chipped too much, and it isn't able to get up hazard either. Okay, so we're playing hazardless, which is good for Old Spice Mike. Moth comes in, and I'm thinking Fusien wants damage into Dragonite because there's nothing else that can handle it. Probably to set up his Dragonite in the back somehow. Maybe it's a variant that doesn't have extreme speed. Okay, so the Tusk is booster speed as well, and it trades into Darkrai. Okay, this is actually a little confusing, but it doesn't escape without getting burned. Tusk boosts up. I mean, it can't. Okay, I think the idea is you're trying to prevent the Zama from switching out because you have a Dragonite that beats Zama. Because you are bulking, so you can't switch in Gold or D-Knight if you're Old Spice Mike. And now Fusien sacks the Scissor to prevent the Dragonite from getting roared. And now he goes in with Dragonite, okay, and it's revealed to be Terra Ghost Encore Dragon Dance. So what Old Spice Mike is trying to do right now is he's just trying to run down the PP of Body Press, because after that, the Dragonite can't Encore him. But he's just not able to. I mean, like, he has 8 presses left, and it's not enough turns. So from that point, Fusien is able to take the win. So first of all, I think that we're gonna see a lot of, Dragonite compositions from now on. With these really crazy, like, wacky sets of coverage, because after the Roaring Moon ban, I think these Dragonites will try harder to make really weird, innovative sets that beat conventional physical walls and, like, surprise opponents, because they sack their resources incorrectly. Whereas before, I think with Dragonites, you could kind of just rely on Roaring Moon to break and then go in with your more conventional Dragonite. I also think Fusien's play was very interesting because it restricted the pivoting around for Old Spice Mike, so it made it a lot easier for him to make mistakes. He brought in the Iron Moth to force chip on Dragonite. He used the Great Tusk to lock in the Zamazenta and force him to and force that guy to stay in. The situation he created was one where, like, OSM, if he gets a turn wrong, he's in a lot of trouble. So he feels pressured to just make the intuitive play, right? And then he got punished for it. Like, if you're the Zama player, you're thinking, oh, well, there's literally no way I can lose to this Dragonite unless it is like Dragon Dance Terra Ghost Encore. I think I could be wrong about the sets again. I think if you had Scarf Golden Go, you can go into that on the first turn Dragonite is setting up and then trick it, and potentially you have the game locked up from there, because I don't think there's any kind of coverage that Dragonite can carry that hits Gold, Zama, and the opposing Dragonite if you trick it the Scarf. But, like, the point is, if you're in Old Spice Mike's shoes, you would not be able to make that play. You just can't really be expected to make that kind of call, given that you're in a position where you don't have that much left to work with, right? So fantastic games by Fusien. It's a 2-0 victory for him over Old Spice Mike. So yeah, thank you for watching this finals recap. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a good day.